should go up on deck and have a look.
Okay, so we're back with another box office bomb examination type video. And last time we did Ghostbusters 2016. And today we're going over, gosh, I can't remember what the number. I think it's 122. I may be wrong. This list gets updated so much constantly that the exact number changes. And so I think I'm at 122, or it might be 123B. I'm not sure. But yeah, today we're talking about The Finest Hours. And like, before I get into my examination on if The Finest Hours deserves to be a box office bomb, I think it's important for you to know the rules in case you've never seen any of the previous videos in this series. So essentially, I'm going over every single one of the biggest box office bombs of all time, according to Wikipedia, and I'm examining if they deserve to be a bomb or if they are an unfounded gem that just no one bothered to check out when they came out, because there's a lot on this list that's like, okay, that's an excellent movie, that's an excellent movie, that's an excellent movie. That one deserves to be a box office bomb. So that's how this series came to be. And the rules are kind of simple. One, I have to try and watch every single movie on the list. I can't just say, well, I've never seen it, but I didn't like that, so it deserved it. No, I have to try to watch every single one. But I reserve the right to be able to walk out on a movie if it's just no good. And also, if something gets added to the list behind where I started, I'm not going to cover it, otherwise I'd be doing this forever. But if it comes in before the point I'm supposed to get to, like let's say I'm at 100 and it comes at 70, I will adjust by adding a B after the number to kind of catch up to that, and I will review anything new added before I get to that point. Okay, so let's go over the numbers, shall we? So The Finest Hours had a supposed budget of like 70 to 80 million, which is pretty good for a period piece, but unfortunately it only had a budget, a gross total at the box office of 52.1 million, which is bad. And like, something that a lot of people don't know, I always bring this up because it's a huge factor in a lot of box office bombs. Whenever you have a budget for a movie, so let's say Finest Hours, 70 to 80 million. Typically, a studio will spend the same amount on marketing, sometimes half, but they spend quite a bit on marketing. So when a movie doubles their price, it's usually the break-even point. So if they spent 70 million, they would have had to probably made 140 million just to break even, and that's not counting the discrepancy with ticket sales. Just because someone spends $10 on a movie ticket does not mean that the studio gets all $10. I've heard some people argue that they only get 70% of the ticket sales. I've heard some people argue that they only get half of the ticket sales. So I don't know the exact value, but they don't get all ticket sales. So a lot of times when you have a movie that costs 100 million, they need to make like 250 million just to see a profit. Or 300 million just to see a profit. And so that's what kills a lot of these movies, is kind of the inside baseball in terms of what they spend on marketing and like the ticket sales discrepancy. And they reported to have lost about 91 million on this movie, which is unfortunate. I'll let you know right now, this movie did not deserve to be a bomb. And let's go over some of the reasons why this movie did bomb. So for starters, it was released in January. And a lot of people, there's kind of like this unwritten rule that like January is the month where movies go to die. If you have no faith in a movie, you release it in January. That, or if you're a horror movie. For some reason, the two most popular months to release a horror movie is October, obviously, and strangely, January. Like, which makes no sense to me, but every January, there's always like 3 or 4 major horror movies that come out in January, and I don't know why. Every now and then you'll see a horror movie come out during the summer, but typically January and October are like the two big ones. But yeah, no, typically a movie, if you see it releasing in January, that usually tells you that the studio has like no faith in it. There are some exceptions, like when this came out in January, it was going up against Kung Fu Panda 3. Like, do you need to know more? Like, now you're probably saying, well, didn't you just say January was the month where movies go die? Okay, yeah. Yes. However, there are always exceptions to that rule. Alright? Always. There's exceptions to every rule. And there are some big movies like Kung Fu Panda 3 that comes out in January. Typically, when I say that's like the unwritten rule, typically January is considered the month that movies go to the theater to die. It's not always the case. And in this one's instance, yeah, it's definitely where you go see a movie to die when you're going up against Kung Fu frickin' Panda 3. Okay? Like, so when you're taking your kids to the movies, you want to see a biopic, or do you want to see Kung Fu Panda 3? 10 out of 10 times, the kids are going to choose Kung Fu Panda 3. Only if you're a prick parent are you going to force them to go to the biopic over Kung Fu Panda 3, and not to Kung Fu Panda 3 at another time during the day. Another issue with this movie is, yes, it is a period piece, and unless you have the right crowd for it, period pieces don't do all that well. A lot of movies on the biggest box office bombs of all time list are period pieces, and one reason why period pieces don't do all that well is because they are more expensive to make. Usually some of these movies that have insane profits for a short budget are movies set in contemporary times. You might see some exceptions to that, but for the most part, a period piece is kind of a pricey endeavor to go after. And you know, that all is a shame, because The Finest Hours is a fantastic movie. This was an excellent film. I absolutely love this movie. It's based on a true story about a small Coast Guard boat that is searching for a downed ship that literally like broke in half, and there are 33 survivors on this ship, and they're trying to keep the ship afloat just long enough for someone to find them. And it's this really great, like, tense moment by moment story about how this boat is out looking for them, and how this crew's trying to stay alive on this ship, keeping it afloat just long enough so that someone might find them. And the cast is great. You have Casey Affleck, probably one of his better films in an already illustrious career. Chris Pine does a great job in this. Ben Foster is great. Eric Bana is also great in this. Like, absolutely, the cast is phenomenal in this movie. And it's sad that this didn't do well, because I think this was one of like the last sort of live action non-princess Disney movies that they made before they stopped doing that, and they kind of just went all into Marvel animation, Star Wars, and live action remakes of their princess movies. There's like this long period of time where Disney would do these kind of like almost biopic drama type movies. Like, I think The Rookie was one, Miracle with Kurt Russell. They're kind of like these live action biopic dramas made by Disney, and like a lot of them are really worth watching. And The Finest Hours, unfortunately, I think was like kind of the last one. A diehard Disney fan might correct me in the comments down below, and by all means, go ahead and correct me. I'm not that huge of a Disney fanatic. It kind of seems to me that once this bombed, they stopped funding movies like this, the live action biopic dramas. And it's a shame, because this movie did not deserve to be a bomb. This was a excellent, fantastic biopic. The pacing was so fantastic, and it was a very exhilarating movie. I would say this is absolutely a must-watch. If you haven't seen this, go ahead and check this out. a really excellent movie from Disney, which is surprising, especially in this climate. And yeah, just I have not enough good things to say about this movie. So yeah, that's pretty much about it for examining this box office bomb of The Finest Hours. I'll be back again with another box office bomb examination. My name's Christopher Call with 11 Hour Reviews, and that will be all for today.